Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Pitafi. Yesterday we actually kept on discussing who's winning, who's not. But as per the projections in this program, PTI has won, although it is a couple of seats shy of the 27 mark. But with the special or deserved seats, it is going to cross that threshold. So now the speculation is about who is going to form the government. Before we actually talk about all that and before we actually discuss various aspects of yesterday's election, our team has made a report for you. Let us watch that, and then I'm going to introduce the panel and the discussion as well.
Prime Minister Imran Khan led Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has emerged victorious in the Azad Jammu and Kashmir general elections of 2021. According to the unofficial preliminary results, PTI took the majority by winning 25 seats of the Legislative Assembly. PPP is in second place with 11 seats while PMLN is in third place with 6 seats. Jammu and Kashmir People's Party and Azad Jammu and Kashmir Muslim Conference have 1 seat each. It is pertinent to mention here that in AJK elections of 2016, PMLN had secured 31 seats, PPP had 3 seats, and PTI had won only 2 seats. According to Azad Jammu and Kashmir Election Commission's website, a final tally of the vote count has revealed that PTI secured 613,590 votes, which consists of 32.5% of the total votes polled during the AJK elections of 2021. The PPP secured 18.28% and the PMLN secured 25.65% of the total votes. The Muslim Conference secured 8.4% of the total votes, followed by independent candidates who secured 6.95% of the total votes cast. To form a government in AJK, a party needs 27 seats out of the cumulative total of 23. The PTI has already won on 25 seats. The difference can be covered either by the reserved seats or an alliance with the Muslim Conference, which holds 2 seats. The Federal Information Minister has confirmed that PTI AJK President Barrister Sultan Mahmood and businessman Sardar Tanveer Ilyas are in the race to get the important post of the Prime Minister of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and the final decision will be taken by Prime Minister Imran Khan.
So it explains, this report explains what exactly is going on. While PTI pulled quite a victory, the second very astonishing thing was People's Party's relative success. From 3, it has scored 11 seats. Simultaneously, you can see that PMLN totally was pulverized in the state. We are going to talk about all these matters and more in order to help us understand these issues. In the studio, we are joined by Ahmad Jawad Saab, who is Secretary Information, Central Secretary Information of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the ruling party. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Javed Jadoon Saab, who is a political analyst, a journalist of renown and a regular on this show, in this channel as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. On Skype, I am joined by Ali Rashid Saab, who is the leader of Pakistan People's Party. Thank you very much, Ali Rashid Saab, for being part of the program as well. Irfan Hori Saab, a senior journalist, also joins us on Skype. Thank you very much, both the gentlemen, for joining the program. Ahmad Jawad Saab, I have to start with you. What are the most important changes we are going to expect, and who's going to be your prime ministerial candidate?
Farooq, you have asked a very direct question.
That is my job.
The nomination of Prime Minister, it will be decided by Prime Minister, and it will be after thorough consultation within the party. So that's a process, and once it is finalized, you will come to know that who is the Prime Minister.
Can you at least give me a timeline?
No, there is no timeline. It will be done
by the
according to the requirement when exactly, it should be decided. So there is no timeline for that. So it will be done, of course, timely. So not to worry about the timeline.
And what are the major differences that people of Kashmir are going to see with your party in government?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question.
Not direct? Okay.
If we look at the past history, if we just take the last 2 decades of Azad Jammu Kashmir, I think 3 political parties have been ruling. Muslim Conference during the Musharraf time, and then People's Party, and then PMLN. And I think nothing much has been done for the basic facilities or civic amenities or infrastructure, or to capitalize on the potential of tourism in Azad Jammu Kashmir.
Right.
And I think the great miss was after the 2005 earthquake, when funds and donations they were pouring in from all over the world, and those donations and funds we could not see on ground in Azad Jammu Kashmir. It was a great opportunity
that was missed
to improve the health and education facilities, housing and road infrastructure and everything, and we did not see anything. So all these political parties, People's Party or PMLN or Muslim Conference, they are responsible for missing that opportunity. So I think after 2 decades, almost people of Azad Jammu Kashmir, they did not see any change in their lives. And I think at the same time, there was another great miss, that was presentation of Azad Jammu Kashmir case at international forum in last 2 decades. That was also missing under the compromising policy of successive governments, starting from Musharraf, People's Party and PMLN, which basically was focusing on the backdoor diplomacy with India. So obviously the Pakistani leadership, all during these regimes, they just avoided talking about Azad Jammu Kashmir at international level. So I think this is something which Prime Minister Imran Khan and PTI is already doing after the 2018 elections, presenting the case in international forums strongly. And after making the government in Azad Jammu Kashmir, I think PTI is further strengthened, and it should be more confident to talk about the future of Kashmir.
And but it has to actually focus on governance matters as well. We are going to talk about that. Let me bring in Javed Jadoon Sahab. Sir, the election yesterday, we saw a lot of violent rhetoric first between the exchange of harsh words between political parties in the election campaign. Then we also saw violence in Kotli, which left 2 PTI workers dead. And after that also, now we see allegations of rigging coming from opposition parties. How do you actually put everything into the context?
Thank you very much, Farah. I think some very interesting results as far as PPP is concerned, because I think nobody was considering PPP to stand at number 2. Everyone expected that the main contest would be between PMLN and PTI. Nothing surprising as far as PTI is concerned, because even in the past we have seen that every party ruling in Islamabad used to get elected in AJK. I think hardly any radical departure from the past, but really surprising outcome was in terms of very crushing defeat as far as PMLN was concerned, because observers thought that they would at least give a tough time to tough competition. There would be tough competition in elections, but on the contrary, I think PTI really surprised most of the observers. Secondly, you asked about the incidents of violence in AJK elections. I think only this time around we have seen that violence started taking place, and primarily it was because of the rhetoric of different political leaders from every political party, with the exception of PPP, I believe, because I haven't seen...
People's Party also used very aggressive language.
But I think mainly...
And by the way, those bullets actually came from allegedly from People's Party side.
Allegedly. And if you take into account the role of the top leadership, I mean the second-tier leadership, which really was inflammatory and very provocative, I think that really sort of gave rise to the temperatures in AJK election campaign.
And can you also comment on how PMLN actually kept on attacking itself? We saw 3 things that happened. First, the picture of Hamdullah Mohib with Nawaz Sharif. Secondly, their candidate actually invoking India. And then when the results came out, Raja Farooq Haider actually saying that people have slave mentality. He is talking about his own constituency. a party like that is bound to lose, no?
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think it was self-destructive.
Yeah.
Their posturing, and you mentioned the statement of a leader of PMLN stating that he could sort of ask the help of the Indian leadership.
Yeah.
I think I can't understand how such kind of a rhetoric which was not controlled by the leadership.
He tried to actually compensate later.
And secondly, I think, Farrukh, primarily I believe that the kind of posturing which Maryam Nawaz has taken in the recent past, everybody started praising her stance, very bold and so on and so forth. But on the contrary, I believe that it was kind of a self-destructive approach, because people in Pakistan do not consider any political party which attacks the establishment in a way that you can resonate the voices or the criticism coming from a country like India. So I think even in Azad Jammu and Kashmir,
for, right?
And that was in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, which is a very sensitive region, and the people
are
the
so
divided
much attached to
families as
Pakistan.
well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think that's why it didn't go well for the PMLN.
It did not. Let me bring in Ali Rashid Saab, but before, okay, Irfan Hori is with us, but before I go to Irfan Hori, let me read a tweet of Federal Minister for Information Fawad Chaudhry. He says PTI's resounding victory in Kashmir elections is an expression of unwavering confidence of the common man and Prime Minister Imran Khan. Opposition should reconsider both its leadership and politics. People are not ready to accept Zardari and Nawaz Sharif. And today, if you have followed his press conference, he actually mentioned that Maryam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto Zardari should also step down. Ali Rashid Saab is with us. Ali Rashid Saab, let me ask you to comment on your party's performance, and also would you comment on two people who were killed, PTI workers who were killed in Kotli. Allegedly, your party's workers actually, fired those shots. Please start with that, and then we can talk about your party's performance.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm sorry, I was having some technical glitches, hence I could not join you earlier. As far as my party's performance is concerned, I'm very satisfied. Needless to say, if you look at the previous elections, we went from having 3 seats to 11 this time. And if you look at the past, every federal government, when it comes to PTI, or let it be PMLN, or let it be PPP, has always had simple majority when making the government in Kashmir. I think this is the first time a government has actually fallen short and will be needing, with the reserve seats, they may have enough seats to actually form the government. But when it comes to my party's, I think from 3 seats to 11, it is pretty good.
Okay. Regarding the two people who were killed in Kotli, and it was a result of a scuffle between your party and PTI. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, I think it is very unfortunate, and any loss of life of any party or any worker is highly, it should be condemned. We still don't know who was actually behind that, and the police is investigating. Allegedly, a lot of things can be said, but I think we should get to that. I think once police come with and
right. I understand what you're saying, although your voice is breaking, Ali Rashid Saab. I'm going to come back to you in a bit. Let us first try to fix the problem. And meanwhile, let me go to Irfan Hori Saab. Irfan Hori Saab, your take on yesterday's elections. What was the performance? Who was actually undermining their position, and who was bolstering themselves? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Farrukh. I think this is what we have already discussed here, that PTI's performance we should also understand that PTI is quite new in AJK. It was formed only uh, 5-6 years back in 2015, and grabbing usually it has been trend that the party in the federal government, they were the ones who had been winning the elections. But PTI, I mean, be it these 25 seats and plus, I guess they would be having another five, maybe four, five to six seats from the reserve seats. So they would be in a very comfortable position to form government.
Okay.
And here, the surprising thing was that the performance in terms of number of seats backed by PMLN, most of the analysts, most of the people, they were expecting that PMLN would be the second party. And
Okay.
as per number of votes, they have bagged, a good number of votes, more than the number of votes got by the by Pakistan People's Party. But in terms of number of seats, I think this is something which was not expected, and
Right.
especially when we
What do
were
you think
seeing
has contributed to this?
sorry.
What are the factors which might have actually resulted in total decimation of PMLN and better performance of People's Party in comparison?
Farooq, one thing that is, I think, when the elections, in these elections, we have seen that PMLN was more focusing on those, especially with Mariam leading the campaign on, public gatherings and a particular point of view. But if you look at the results and the candidates, you would see that the though they had the candidates were, there were many heavyweight candidates, but with that many powerful groups which had been in the past supporting those candidates, they were not there to support them. And I've
Okay.
seen myself, I belong to Mirpur, and I've seen in many constituencies that because those groups, either they were running, independently,
Okay.
or they backed PTI. So that
Okay.
became the
You're
reason
you're
that
talking about Baradari system. Are you talking about clans?
no, it's not only the clans. It's the
Okay.
clans is the same system there, but when it comes to election, when it comes to real elections, it's always some groups and some powerful factions within bradaris, which
Right. So it
which
comes down to the
make the
same
difference.
problem, right?
Like I tell you,
Irfan Wari
in
Sahab, I'm
one of
going to come back to you. With your permission, I have to come back to the studio. Ahmed Jawad Sahab, now that your party is going to form the government, although we don't know who is going to be the prime minister, we don't know who is going to be cabinet ministers, but we know that you have a program. So what are going to be the first priorities of the party? I understand that you were talking about international stance for Kashmir, but Prime Minister of Pakistan today said because there is unemployment, that the government's various projects of poverty alleviation and job creation will be extended. Kamyab Jawan and Kamyab Pakistan project. What else are you going to offer to the region?
Farooq, even before the elections, Insaf Sehat card was announced for every family of AJK, and it will be implemented on a fast track. And I think this will be one big change as far as health expenses are concerned. For anybody in Azad Jammu Kashmir, it will be taken care because of this Insaf Sehat card. And the other programs, yes, Kamyab Jawan program and other SHAS programs, they will also be extended to AJK. But I think the best potential of AJK lies in the tourism. And tourism is very close to the heart of Prime Minister Imran Khan. So I'm sure there will be a lot of emphasis on the exploitation of tourism opportunities in AJK.
And tourism needs infrastructure.
Obviously.
And also connectivity. They still have 2G internet there, not 4G.
I think 3G and 4G, it is a very basic need today anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And if entire Pakistan is enjoying 3G and 4G, why Azad Jammu Kashmir does not have this facility? It's a big question mark, and I'm quite sure this will be resolved, and 3G and 4G facility of mobile facility will be extended to Azad Jammu Kashmir in the same tenure of PTI.
Right, and when you were talking about Insaf card, health card, I was reminded that while you can cover the expenses for anybody to get access to healthcare, they need doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely.
And with the areas adjoining LOC, we know that when it comes to women's health, there's only one gynecologist in the entire area.
Absolutely.
So if you have that, what good is the health card going to do?
You are right. I mean, health card gives you a lot of flexibility, but yes, you are right. Health card does not replace the need of hospitals, need of basic health units, especially in the remote area. So somebody has an emergency, even if he has a Insaf Sehat card, he cannot travel probably that long to get the medical support. So this will also be a priority for PTI, the health facilities, and which are very weak and very limited in Azad Jammu Kashmir. It needs a very special emphasis. And then you mentioned about infrastructure, I mean the road network. This is very important for
because
Azad
the
Jammu
roads
Kashmir.
right now are appalling. They're not very good.
That needs attention by the PTI government, and I'm sure it will be taken care, and you will see a change. I see a similar kind of priority for the infrastructure and development as we have just witnessed in Gilgit-Baltistan elections. They announced their first budget, and there was huge allocations for the highways and road network and
let us hope
water
that happens here.
Facilities, clean drinking water.
Yeah, and water is very important, but I'm going to come back to you. Allow me to actually go again to Javed Jadoon Sahab. Javed Jadoon Sahab, on one side is the issue, as pointed out, healthcare is a big problem, and then in the recent past we saw COVID infections also were huge in Muzaffarabad, various other parts of Kashmir. Although their vaccination drive was far better, but they had to actually first, after lowering it to 18 years, they had to come back to 40 or 30 years mark because perhaps there was some problem. Now the issue is, you have seen the mammoth gatherings or public rallies of various parties. There was no SOP. Do you fear that in coming days we are going to see some escalation of COVID infections there?
Farooq, that is a real threat because we have seen this Delta variant of COVID-19 has really wreaked havoc in Sindh, particularly in Karachi, and we have seen this, the ratio really rising or skyrocketing in Karachi, somewhere in the range of 22-23%. As I think lowering the guards at this particular juncture could have disastrous consequences.
No, but we have already lowered the guards, right?
We have already done that.
When we saw all the public rallies, nobody was wearing masks. They were like totally jam-packed kind of public rallies.
I think that's a very, very serious issue you're talking about, because public rallies where people gather and they sort of in very congested places, in very close proximity, and not really observing the SOPs, and ultimately you end up with very higher infection rates. And I think that could be a problem and a challenge for the new government in AJK as well, because you already mentioned very dismal conditions as far as healthcare is concerned. So if a pandemic strikes the AJK region with not very sufficient healthcare facilities, it could have very serious repercussions and consequences for the people at large. I think once now the election campaign is over, the new government definitely would be formed in the coming days and weeks, and it would be a challenge for the new government, because ignoring this pandemic or believing in the conspiracy theories. I think it is going to be.
I understand, but if there is going to be a spike in coming days, God forbid, who should be held responsible? AJK's government, election commission, somebody else, or political parties, including the ruling party of the state and the center?
Farooq, I believe that every political party is responsible for that, because when there is electioneering and a large number of people are gathering there in every political party's rallies and etc., I think it was the onus was on the leadership of those respective political parties, because they need to educate the people. They really can't get away from that responsibility, saying that, well, it is the responsibility of the government. Government alone, whether in a province or at the federal level, really can't achieve that particular objective, because as responsible political parties, they should have understood that if they expose the people to pandemic, it could sort of really put a unprecedented pressure on the healthcare system, already very fragile system in AJK. So my answer would be, it was the responsibility of every political party's leadership to not to do that what they really did.
Right, and
let's hope, one can really hope that.
What you are saying is nobody is responsible, right, or behaving responsibly. Let me go back to Ali Rashid Saab. The technical issues have been resolved. Ali Rashid Saab, your party was the first one to actually highlight the concerns, especially because you rule, your party is in government in Sindh. When COVID actually started, your party was the first one to react. But amazingly, now it seems that during your public rallies also, there was no social distancing. Should your party's leadership not be held accountable if, God forbid, tomorrow the infections in the state were to rise again?
Thank you so much. I would like to say I think everybody should play their part, and I think my party or any other party, if they act recklessly, would be responsible. But that being said, at that time, the NCOC had not actually raised the red flags that these things should not happen. And I think starting from this week onwards, and since we've gone towards lockdown, and so have other places in the country. But that being said, earlier when I was disconnected because of the technical glitches, you had asked me a question regarding the fact if I'm happy with my party's performance in these elections. I would like to say yes, certainly. We had 3 seats in the last election, and in this election we have 11 seats, which we are very, very happy about. And secondly, the way things went down in the elections, the kind of clashes which happened, the kind of complaints, I think 40 complaints were just registered by our party regarding what is going on there, which is very unfair.
Where was your party actually registering those complaints? Because the Chief Election Commissioner yesterday said that he did not receive any formal complaint from any party so far.
Okay, I don't know what the definition of a formal complaint is by the Chief Election Commissioner.
You have to file the paperwork along with the evidence.
We actually did, and not only that, we also made it public. All the complaints which we registered were also made public to the media and on social media, so everybody could understand what our issues were. And even prior to that, you could see Mr. Gandapur distributing money, blatantly, shamelessly. He was just going around giving people money, and he was trying to use influence. And even that complaint was registered with the Chief Election Commissioner, which he admitted was wrong, and he said this is so severe that this should actually go to the court, not just with the Election Commission, but this deserves to go to court. So,
the conduct of one minister might be something else, but you were talking about 40 complaints, right? And the assumption was that you are talking about some possible violation of code of conduct, or for that matter, some kind of rigging. But Election Commission's chief actually of the state says that no formal complaints actually came in.
Okay, now I would like to respectfully disagree. You see, there are stages of complaints. It starts from a written, formal letter written to the election commissioner there, which is received. Then after that, the election commission actually investigates that and asks us to bring any formal evidence which we have. So if he's saying that no formal complaints were made, then that's questionable because of course they were received. We have all the receivings. We wrote the letters. We wrote the complaints, and that were received by his office. But if you're saying evidence wasn't provided at that very point, that may have not been provided, but that does not mean that any complaints were.
Ali Rashid Saab, there is a reason why I'm asking this. If you remember, in 2018 also, we kept on hearing that there were allegations of massive rigging. But when it came to the tribunals, when it came to the due process, most of the parties did not file any evidence, or for that matter, they did not pursue the matter at all. So that becomes a big problem. But regardless, now Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Saab and your party's leadership went there, and the assumption was not to actually get the second position in the race, but to get the first position, and that you didn't actually get by a huge margin. So when the Federal Information Minister says that they should be held accountable and they probably should step down, is that not a good advice?
Okay, now please let me answer and hear me out when I tell you this. In the history of Pakistan, never has been a time that a federal government, a ruling party, has not met the government in Azad Kashmir. This is the first time where a party is actually dependent on the reserve seats, which will allow them. They didn't get simple majority. Now with the reserve seats, they will be in the position to make and form the government. Exactly the same thing happened in Gilgit with them, that never a party in the history of Pakistan has never been able to not form simple majority. In even the Gilgit elections, they had to join
with due respect, you keep on saying that here they didn't get the majority. With due respect, the reserved seats are part of the seats each party gets. Your party will also get it. So they are going to get the number that is needed, 27.
No, but I'm saying it's never happened earlier. I'm saying in earlier, the parties have cleaned it to the extent where they were not dependent, they did not need the reserve seats to form the government. I do understand they will get the reserve seat, and I do understand they're in a good position to form the government, but I'm saying their performance, as opposed to any other party in the history of Pakistan, it's not at par with those things.
But in the history of Pakistan, Ali Rashid Saab, we didn't have this many parties contesting for a small space. Now the number of stakeholders is increasing. Allow me to go back to Irfan Hori Saab. Irfan Hori Saab, do you think that Kashmir's politics, like Pakistan's, is going to get more polarized in coming days, or it is going to come down the kind of animus we saw in the election campaign?
Farooq, I think in AJK the people say that it's the Pakistan-based parties now. They have hijacked the politics of that area. In AJK traditionally the politics was much different, and it's not like PMLN and PTI. They are new entrants. PMLN, I think in 2010 or 11, something like that, it was formed in AJK. It was actually the people from Muslim Conference mostly, they switched over to that. And then in 2015, it's PTI, it was formed. Before that, traditionally, since 70s in AJK, there were two parties. One was Muslim Conference, Azad Kashmir Muslim Conference, and the other was Pakistan People's Party. So they were the the contestants. So saying that in AJK's history that it was there were no coalition governments, or the parties had to to bank on the sport of reserve seats, that won't be correct, because in the past, before 2006 was the last election when when Muslim Conference and People's Party, it was a contest between them, and after that PMLN entered, and then now PTI. So now there are more stakeholders, and even I tell you, this time interesting thing was that even TLP is the fifth party there, and in some constituencies they have got considerable votes. I mean, when I say considerable votes, I mean
we can go on talking about various splinter groups of parties, or you can answer my question as well, and that is whether the situation will be more polarized in coming days, or there is going to be some kind of thaw, because we saw that a former prime minister, outgoing prime minister of the state, is actually calling his own constituents slave-minded people. I mean, that kind of rhetoric, that seems to be wounding the spirit or emotions of voters in Kashmir. Is that going to abate?
Farooq, as I said, it started with I mean, the leadership of the political parties from the center. I mean, be it the campaign of, you see the campaign of PTI led by Gandapur Sahab, or the campaign by Mariam Nawaz Sahiba. So it started with all this, and it continued till, you've seen on the election day, it was quite an aberration, you would say, that in AJK you would be seeing this kind of violence in outside the polling stations. So it would depend on the politics of center, because now the parties in Pakistan, that is, when I say center, I mean in Pakistan, the mainstream parties, how they would be, conducting themselves, if they would continue to be more, such a type of mudslinging here, the same would continue over there, because it is.
And Warisa, one final question. After this kind of drubbing that PMLN received, is it going to actually change its main man in Kashmir, or are they going to continue with their former prime minister, who is now abusing his own voters?
They have already, I think, nominated another guy, that's Shah Ghulam Qadir, who had been former speaker of Legislative Assembly. They had nominated him as candidate for prime ministership in case PMLN would have won. So, and as far as the incumbent prime minister, the prime minister who had been, there, he had been quite outspoken, and there had been many controversies regarding his statements in the past as well, and during his prime ministership as well. So it is something, I think, it's already in the notice of PMLN, and now, especially when they have seen the results of the polls, I think they would have to reconsider that the way they have been targeting certain establishment, and and that is not working for them, and they had seen aggressive campaign in JB as well, but the results, you become crowd puller, but when it comes to when it comes to results of the elections and the number of seats, it's not working for them.
Right. I'm told that we have to actually start concluding the program very quickly. Ahmed Jawad Sahab, your conclusion?
My conclusion is that we look forward to have a change in Azad Jammu Kashmir, because it's finally the end of two political party rule, or three political party rule. And now there is a new political party, and definitely it will try to make a change in the lives of people of Azad Jammu and Kashmir.
Positive change. Yeah. Hopefully so. Let me ask you also, Javed Jadun Sahab, your conclusion.
I think it is a kind of a situation for PTI that there are challenges and opportunities as well, because it is going to come to power for the first time. The rest of the two parties have been there in power time and again. And the opportunities are probably less, and the challenges are more for PTI, because they need to deliver what they believe was not delivered by the other two main political parties.
Right.
And let's see how they are going to fare as far as the commitments are concerned and the promises they have made to the people in AJK. Because at the end of the day, they would be looking for what kind of a legacy they're going to leave behind.
And that is important. Ali Rashid Saab, your conclusions very quickly.
Well, I just hope that PTI is able to do some good work, and I just hope their performance in AJK is not how it's been in the federal government. That's all I can say.
Okay. And Ghori Saab, your conclusions, sir.
Sir, I would say, I mean, the political parties, I mean, they would have to rethink and they would engage themselves into, debates of ideas and debates of issues instead of, hurling abuses and, accusations. Because in these elections, what we have seen is that was, I mean, I myself being native of that area, I had seen that even amongst the workers there, the charged atmosphere and the way the people had been, charged, and the results we have seen that people have been killed. There were so many clashes. So the political parties would have to think, and they would have to, do something that we should respect the basic human dignity when it comes to politics, when it comes to our,
and that is a very good segue for me to actually conclude the program. Irfan Ghori Saab, thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Ali Rashid Saab, Ahmed Jawad Saab, Javed Jadoon Saab, thank you very much, sirs, for your participation, your valuable time. Viewers, human dignity is important, and human longevity is also important, and it seems that all the political parties and the institutions in Kashmir were actually caught unprepared regarding the way SOPs were not followed when it comes to COVID-19. It is important for every stakeholder to keep an eye out for what is happening and what is going to happen in Kashmir, because that kind of public gatherings can really wreak havoc anywhere. But regarding the government's program and their performance, we are hoping in coming days we will see a cabinet forming and a government. And after that, let us hope that people of Kashmir get what they are expecting and they get the relief also. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.